everybody. Welcome to another one of our Disney ranking episodes. This is so much fun. We like to do is we go over all of the films from the Disney studios in a particular year, and we rank them. And this includes Marvel, Star Wars, live action, animation, Pixar, the whole thing. It's really fun. And I'm film critic Rachel Wagner, and Stanford is here.
Hey Rachel, how's it going?
Yes, I'm doing well. How are you?
Hey, doing great. Thank you. Excited to talk about this. I always say
Yeah.
this is what an interesting set of movies.
Yes. Today we're talking about 2012, which is a very mixed year, I would say.
Well said.
Yeah.
Perfectly
And
said.
I went back and forth because there's a number of movies that I like that I admit that maybe aren't like the best movies, but then there's other ones that I don't really like, but I admit is a well-made movie. So there's some like
Yeah.
I tried to go with in general with what I would want to watch if I, was putting on a movie. So it's going to be interesting to see how we differ and where we have things ranked.
Yes, I think so too.
Yeah. So we have 15 movies in this episode, and I'll try to put a link in the description of the list. But yeah, I guess let's dive in. Let's
Do
do
it.
it. Okay.
All right.
All right. Well, what is your number 15?
So my number 15, of course, is the one film in this collection that I had never really even heard of. And I think the reason was because it was financed and produced by Disney, but made and distributed in South Africa. It's called Mad Buddies. Um,
Yeah.
and thankfully you were able to find it on YouTube because no streaming service has it, which is smart because it's a horrible film. I hate it.
Me too. I really
Hated
disliked
it.
it. It's just not my kind of humor.
Not my
It's also my
exactly.
15.
Oh, is that okay? you
I, I
know,
I guess these guys are like well known
yeah.
there. They're
I
kind of
was
a,
gonna
a
say I felt
duo.
like I was a bit at a disadvantage culturally just because I never heard of these, comedians
Uh-huh.
and it's I know when we were corresponding a little bit about it, I was just saying I would interpret it more of like a gross out comedy. I think we call it here in America,
Hmm.
uh, almost like the Fairley Brothers or something,
Yeah.
um, or even a little more juvenile than that, because it's really just it's a ton of potty jokes too or potty humor.
Yeah.
But
And there must have been like 500 hit the crotch jokes.
well, exactly,
So
yeah.
many.
And then I could tell within the first 2 minutes when there's that one thing that happens, and we'll keep it spoiler free, right? Because like as if anyone's gonna watch it, like please don't watch this movie.
It's
But
really bad.
it's also kind of gory. Like there's this bloodbath
Yeah.
going on.
Yeah.
When the
It's
one guy gets injured, and he's like, "What? What is this?" Yeah.
Yeah, it's
The only
gross and it's just not funny to me at least. I mean, I'll own it. I like some pretty ridiculous,
oh,
terrible. Like I'm
I do
not
too.
above liking something, pure. Like I love Talladega Nights, the Ballad of
Oh,
Ricky Bobby.
hilarious! I'm with you.
I think
Yeah,
that movie is so funny.
it's so funny.
Yeah. But so if it made me laugh, I would say it and I would acknowledge it, but this just didn't do it for me.
I didn't
It
laugh
felt
once.
so long. I was like, when
Yeah,
is it
it
going to
was
be
like
over? And
this
it's
is
96
horrible.
minutes.
The only person I recognized, and one of you saw him too. So Trevor
Mhm.
Noah,
Yeah.
who's a comedian from South Africa who currently hosts the Daily Show on Comedy Central,
Uh-huh.
he had a bit part in
Yeah, a
this
little
movie, which I
cameo.
thought was interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, and I that was interesting to me because I actually just read his book
Oh,
in
okay. Yeah.
July, yeah, in our book club,
Oh,
and it was a
interesting.
really good book.
That's what I've heard. Is it's a very good book. Yeah,
Mhm. Like, I didn't really know very much about him. I don't
it's an
watch the
interesting
show.
story.
I don't really, I'm not a fan. I just don't know didn't know anything about him. And so to read I was coming at it very fresh and a lot of times those kind of, Hollywood celebrity bios aren't very good. But this was actually quite good. I liked it a lot. So read that instead of watching Mad
Yes,
Buddies.
I would concur. Even though I haven't read the book, I've heard good things about it, and anything's better than Mad Buddies.
Yeah. Oh well, you never know. Every once in a while, like we watched the one from India, and was the
Yeah,
last time, or I think
yeah.
2014, and that was very
You know,
charming. So you never know.
that had some really charming stuff to it.
Mhm.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
it's been fun to expand,
Yeah.
horizons. I always like that, but
Mhm.
ugh,
This one,
wish the movie had been a little bit, had been,
there, there's some movies that are forgotten for a reason.
yeah, yeah, exactly. And interesting that if this movie ever was distributed in the United States, I sure don't remember
No,
hearing or seeing anything about it.
me either. No, I don't. All right. Well, what is your number 14?
My number 14 is a decom.
Uh-huh.
It's Frenemies,
Same.
which was so horrible.
Yeah, I try to give these the benefit of the doubt, but
Yes, you're much better at that than I am.
but this really is one of the worst I've ever seen.
Wow, it
I
was so
think
bad.
it was really bad, and it was bizarre. Like they've got these rivalries between they have these three sort of stories
Yeah,
of these frenemies.
kind of split
And,
up into 3 acts
yeah.
almost.
And two of them were like fine, kind of normal, and then the one that just sort of lost me was the rivalry between the girl and the dog over the affection of Nick Robinson.
I mean, what? The what? That was so
It
bad.
was so weird. I was like, what? And like this has a really good cast. It's
Yeah,
got Bella Thorne, Zendaya, Nick Robinson's a good actor. He can be at least. Like it has this good cast, and I was just like, what? It was not good.
yeah, it was so weird because, uh, all these characters all know each other. They're all like go to school together
Uh-huh.
and or something. I mean, they're also so the storylines intersect some. Yeah, they did that weird 3 act structure, and then um, I thought that third one was really weird, where it kind of goes all Parent Trap.
Yeah. It was weird.
It was just weird, and the other two, I could kind of see how it was like frenemies, but then when it went when this girl discovers that she's got a twin who's who lives a very different, not a twin, but I mean a doppelganger, right? I mean it's
Right.
they're not truly not related. They just look alike. Anyway,
I don't know.
it
It
was
was
bad.
bad. I appreciate that they're, we're trying to do something different, but it just did not work at
Yeah,
all.
it didn't work.
So, what do you have at 13?
Okay, at 13, I have Girl versus Monster,
Okay,
which
yeah,
has another decom.
I do have that much higher. Well, we have two other decoms. Three.
Yeah, they're a total of 4 decoms, right? Or
Four
just
this.
3? Yeah, they're 4. Yeah, there were
For
4. And
Stanford.
I watched them all, I promise.
Now, I reviewed Girl versus Monster for Family Movie Night a couple
Right,
of
you
years
told me
ago.
that, yeah.
Yeah. And I actually enjoyed it. I thought I liked the overall sort of theme of overcoming your fears and the way the monsters were kind of individualized by the
Yeah,
fears
I
it created.
I like that too, Rachel. I thought that was a
And
really good way to do that.
the more that they gave into the fears, the stronger the monster got. And I thought that the monsters were pretty good. Like one was very scary. The scarecrow I thought was really scary.
Yeah.
And then the one that with the curly red hair,
Uh-huh.
I thought that she was having a blast. She was fun to me, and I thought she was basically Bette Midler from Hocus Pocus, but like way better because I don't like that movie. Uh, and I don't know, I enjoyed it. I thought it was a fun, scary movie for kids. So
And
I have
yeah,
it
so
higher.
I'm yeah, you know me. I hate scary movies even if they're made for kids. I just and then I didn't the only thing I liked about it just as you mentioned so well, I thought it was a really interesting way to present the concept of overcoming fear.
Hmm.
And that worked for me, but I mean, and again, I don't. I'm just being a jerk, but this. I know that they didn't have much of a budget, but the special effects looked horrible,
Yeah,
and uh,
that's fair.
I disliked that main witch or whatever she was. I thought the relationship with the parents was kind of funny. I thought they handled that in kind of a fun way,
Hmm.
kind of a campy way. But
Yeah.
anyway, yeah, that didn't work at all for me. But then
Well,
also, I'm not the target audience, which is also another thing I often say with these decoms.
yeah. Well, I mean, both because you don't like scary movies, and also because you're not a teenager.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, yeah, exactly.
But I would put it like right in the like middle of, I would say, like decom slash Disney scary movies, because they've actually, I mean, I do Disney Scares Month. It's my sixth year doing it. They have quite a few scary movies from Disney.
Yeah,
um,
yeah,
and I like that. I like that you have a way of kind of introducing different genres and
yeah,
movies
different
to your
genres, and
family.
it's in Halloween, right,
Mhm.
and stuff. Yeah,
Yeah, because like my niece, she loves scary movies, and I mean now she's 17, so she can watch whatever she wants. But
yeah,
for a while, it was nice to have, I think, those things that she could watch that weren't gonna like traumatize her, but they
right.
were like, but yeah, my number 13 is Radio Rebel, and
Okay,
I actually like I like Debbie Ryan as an actress. I think she's fun, and I like Adam DeMarco. I think he's very charming. So I liked the cast, and I mean, I feel like there's something they could have done with this, but it just, I don't know. I just didn't care for it. I felt like the script was very poor, and it just wasn't my favorite.
yeah. I have it just a tick higher, but yeah, I'm
Hmm.
with you. It's not. Uh, it wasn't very good either. I
Hmm.
didn't think, and I'm with you. I thought that the actors were charming, uh,
Hmm.
but yeah, but what a terrible script, and yeah.
Yeah. Well, what do you have at 12?
At 12, I have Disney Nature Chimpanzee.
Mhm. Well, so I think this one is probably gonna be the spot where we disagree the most, uh because I have people like us at 12. So I think both of us have these very switched.
It's gonna be, yeah, definitely switched. Ah,
Uh, so I had never seen People Like Us before, and so I watched it for this episode, and I just did not like it at all. And I thought that the whole concept of him kind of lying to her and pretending to not be her brother, and like if you didn't know that he was her brother, you would think the ending of this movie is a rom-com, that they were going to get together,
yeah.
and but he's her brother, so that's not the case. So it just felt really weird to me, and
Hmm.
I don't know, I just didn't care for it at all.
Yeah.
And I felt it slow. It was kind of boring to me, and I just, that fundamental flaw with the story was just so strange. That why is he like wooing his sister? It's weird.
Yeah.
But
No, I can
what
appreciate that.
what about you with Chimpanzee?
So, I hate nature documentaries. I mean, let's just face it, I hate them. And so, this one, I thought it was pleasant in the way that one of the things that happens in the it truly happened while they were filming this really surprised the filmmakers, and that was
Yeah.
cool. I thought that was interesting. Uh, I I mean, I know that it is nature, because there's in that it seems like it's just a lot of it's animals eating and fighting,
Uh-huh.
and so it's like, okay, like how many more times do we have to have another fight or whatever? And
Yeah.
anyway, I couldn't wait for it to be over. They're beautifully filmed, as
Yeah.
we've discussed. I think the production values were so high. And sorry, I couldn't rank it any higher, but I just
No, that's okay.
didn't like
I
it.
I like this one because they are genuinely surprised, and they even bring
Hmm.
on, because you never see the people filming, you never see the in these Disney nature films except for in this one, because they were all so surprised
Yeah,
with what happens with this father taking care of the baby. And they even bring on Jane Goodall, and she's like, this is not a thing, this doesn't happen, like
yeah.
they don't, like, male chimpanzees do not like take over the, the mothering role. And so I thought that was so cool. And so
Hmm.
that's why for me it's a lot higher, because it was a genuine moment of
Yes.
surprise for the filmmakers. And so this, I think, is the best of the Disney nature
Oh,
films.
nice.
I do.
Well, and everybody should listen to you and not to me because I hate them all. I think other than I hope I can appreciate the beautiful cinematography and
Hmm.
and just the skill that goes into making these films. But
Yeah, I love
um,
this, and I love the the um the flamingo one.
right,
Yeah, with the salt shackles and the little
yeah,
birds running,
yeah.
and I'm like, no. But all right. Well, what is your number 11?
So my number 11 is Radio Rebel.
Okay,
You know
yeah.
the decom. Yeah, in fact, it's sad that I liked it a little better than Chimpanzee. But I think it was probably. I think again just because I thought the actors were appealing, but
Yeah,
even though it was really not a great movie.
yeah. It's a shame too when they have like the good talent and they can't like figure out a better script, I think, to go
Hmm.
around it.
Hmm.
And I don't know. It just uh, wasn't good enough. Like, I mean, I tried to I defend these decoms, but I don't give them a complete pass. They still got to be good.
Right. And again, I thought the concept was an interesting one.
Hmm.
That this girl's kind of got this dual identity, and she feels like she can really be herself on the radio, and she's got this huge
Yeah,
following. But then, uh,
it's kind of, it almost becomes like a Cyrano de Bergerac kind of a thing at a certain point, and we see that actually again.
we said it
Um,
again, but done in a much better way.
Way better.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah. So my number 11 is The Odd Life of Timothy Green.
yeah. I'm close. I'm just a tick. Yeah,
And this movie is just weird. I don't know how else
yeah.
to say it.
I just don't care for this movie either.
The weird
It's so
infertile
sad.
couple that gets the tree child. I don't know how else to
Well,
say it.
yeah, they like they're yeah they've got this infertility diagnosis, and so they're so devastated, but they write all these notes to themselves about what their ideal child would be like, and they bury it in the ground, and then he manifests himself as it's almost like kind of this weird, almost like a Pinocchio kind of thing in a way, but
Hmm.
he comes to life. But it's not a lot. It should be called just more like the short life of Timothy Green,
Yeah,
rather
and it's
than
a
the odd
yeah,
life.
that's right. I mean, and it's got a great cast. I mean,
Yeah,
incredible cast: Jennifer
yeah,
Garner, Joel Edgerton, even Lin Manuel Miranda shows up
yeah.
in this movie.
Exactly.
But I don't know. It was just too strange to me, and it was very boring. I would not want to ever watch it again.
Yeah, it's not on my list either.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Uh,
I have it at number 9.
okay, okay, yeah. So at number 10 is where I have Girl versus Monster.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Well, that's
because
not just too much higher. I was wondering if you booted it up even
well, it's
higher.
hard because there's something like Brave, which I think is very flawed. Um, it has a lot of problems, and I think that actually, just like as a piece of filmmaking, as far as like a good story, I actually think something like Girl vs. Monster is like a better told story. But I think that obviously the animation and the is better in Brave. I also think something like Lincoln coming up, like Lincoln has a lot of problems in storytelling, in my opinion, but like it's so well made. And so, it's like I struggle with, where I'm going to put something that obviously isn't as well made, obviously doesn't have the budget, but I feel like the story and the script are better.
Yeah.
I don't know. So that's where I kind of go back and forth. But
Hmm.
but for this one, I just ended up putting it at 10. because of like what you said about, there's the special effects and some of the acting isn't the best, and they have way too much singing in this movie. Like,
Yeah,
I think
there's a
that,
lot of
I
singing. That's
think,
that's like almost out of place. Like
yeah, like
what?
Olivia Holt, I mean, she's like a decent voice, like it's fine, but we don't need her like multiple verses of each song. But so that's like the flaws. But I do, like I said, I really do like the whole idea of the monsters being part of your fears. And then
hmm
I also like the monster with the well, each of the monsters I like, but the witch with the red hair, I think she's having a ton of fun, and I enjoyed her performance. And I don't know, like I said, I felt like she's a Sanderson sister, but like in a better movie. So so what do you have at 10?
At 10, I have Secret of the Wings.
Okay. Yeah. I have it at 9, so we're pretty close
Okay,
actually
so we're,
on
we're
that
we're
one.
pretty close on that. I hate to harp on these. I mean, because again, I'm again not want to use as an excuse. I am not the target audience for these films, uh,
Mhm.
and I do appreciate. I do feel like they try hard and they have a level of quality. I think that meets what they're trying to do.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
so that part is good. But yeah, that particularly I think during the third act, I was like, when is this going to end?
I mean, it is pretty interesting that they would come out with this, the year before Frozen, which it
I
has
know that's
so
what I
many
wanted to
similar
ask you about because I was so
about two
surprised because
sisters.
and she looks like she has I mean this white hair
Mhm.
and
Yeah.
periwinkle uh and
Mhm.
yeah
She controls winter.
yeah,
It's kind of weird. It's kind of
it
interesting, and
was it was interesting and I wonder I mean it couldn't have been intentional it just seems like it would be a coincidence but
I
again
know.
John Lasseter was the executive producer of it and knew what was going on over down the
Mhm.
street
Yeah.
but
Uh,
anyway
yeah, no, it's very interesting, and I actually I liked this one pretty good. I think it gets to some pretty like I'm not gonna say dark places, but for the kind of movie it is, it kind of gets to some dark plaplaces
yeah
where you think
well,
like, is she gonna die? Like, what is
yeah.
happening?
No, it is. It's dark, and there's drama. I mean, yeah, there's danger and drama and stuff in
Yeah,
it. Yeah,
and uh, I like the whole sort of message of the you have people from one land that don't want to allow people from another land to come in, and you could talk, I think, with your kids about like immigration and some other issues and
yeah.
things
Oh,
like that.
absolutely.
And so I like this one. I think it's cute. It's not like my favorite of the Tinkerbell movies, but it's certainly not my least favorite. So that's why it ended up in the middle.
Yeah. Well, and I do admire the creativity of it. I think that that world they've set up with the Tinkers and the different
Hmm.
things that um, that's clever.
Yeah.
There's a lot of I think
Yeah.
fun
And
visual
they
things
have
in
an
it.
incredible voice cast in this
I mean,
movie.
these voice casts
They
that they get for these, like
yeah.
Angelica Houston, for heaven's sakes.
Angelica Houston, Jodie Benson's in this one, Mae
Yeah,
Whitman, Lucy Hale,
Timothy Dalton.
Timothy Dalton, Lucy Liu, Raymond Simone are in all these. Megan Hilty,
Yeah,
Pamela Adlin. It's a great cast. Debbie Ryan too for in this in this
yeah.
ranking.
I mean, it's really something. I
Yeah.
mean, good for them.
Uh-huh.
Um,
So yeah,
s-
if you're looking for something to entertain your little girls, I think
yeah,
that
I think that
they'll really enjoy them.
that these, yeah, fun
Uh,
movies. So at number 9, I've got Timothy Green.
okay. Yeah. What did
Yeah,
you think of Timothy Green?
just as you're saying, I just weird to me. It's just too sad. I
Yeah,
mean,
it's really
again,
sad.
not that that should be prevent you from of course seeing a movie because sometimes it's very cathartic but excuse me, it's almost just too much is it
Yeah.
it's just like too overwhelming because instantly like this kid is not sticking around you know that's the one difference I think between Pinocchio and it there's Pinocchio, I guess
Mhm.
there's the hope that
Yeah.
that he's something's gonna happen but
Yeah,
wow.
and I feel like this kind of allegory, we should
Excuse
have
me.
sort of a lesson about it, but I don't really know what the lesson is.
I don't know what the lesson is either, and I guess maybe it's just something about giving these parents
Like,
some
be
hope.
kind, like, to the environment. I don't know.
I
I
don't
don't
know.
know what the
It's
lesson
weird.
is.
Because I guess in some ways it's kind of an environmental fable, and that Timothy Green, spoiler alert. I mean, he does these gestures,
Yeah.
and every time he does something, he loses a leaf, which again means part of his life is going away. And
Yeah.
I don't know. I just didn't. I just couldn't get into it.
Like, it feels kind of mean to a certain extent to, like, give them a child and then, like, "Oh, we're gonna take it away now." Like, what?
Yeah, you only get this kid for a little bit,
Yeah.
and then so I mean, thankfully there's a happy ending. But oh my gosh,
Yeah.
it's I don't know. There's a lot of potential tears in there. If anyway,
Yeah.
I don't care for this film, but
So
I liked it still though.
uh-huh.
I mean, I think it was because of the actors. I like Jennifer Garner a lot,
Yeah.
and
So,
Joel Edgerton is very good.
yeah, what do you have at 8?
At 8, I have Let It Shine, which is the fourth decom of
Mhm.
the year.
I have it at 7. I
Yeah,
really
it
enjoyed
was
this
so much
one.
fun.
It was really good. I thought I liked all the performances. I liked the whole Cyrano de Bergerac kind of
I did too.
plot, that they were doing. It's got a good cast. Courtney B. Vance is basically about this kid who wants to become a hip hop rapper kind of person and a performer, but his father is a minister and he wants him to sing gospel, and so that's kind of the main conflict. You also have there's a he does the music for another young man who is, I guess, the more pretty option, I guess. And he's doing this, so that's the Cyrano de Bergerac part. And I don't know, I thought it was really well done. I really enjoyed it, and
I did too. I thought that again, having seen 4 from this year, it had a really good production values.
yeah.
I thought you know the cinematography was quite good, and everything about it was a pleasure to watch. I think really one of my own criticisms about it is just there's so much hip hop in it, which is the
Hmm.
point. But not being a big fan, it wasn't enough to like make me want to turn it off or anything.
Yeah.
I got a little tired of the hip hop. But who cares? You know what I mean? Uh, it's a really it was a fun movie. I
Hmm.
liked that.
Yeah, me too. I enjoyed it. And yeah, I'm not like the biggest fan of that kind of music, of the hip hop music, but I still, it wasn't enough to make me not want to.
Yeah.
I mean, it's no Hamilton or anything like that, but I still enjoyed
Well,
it.
yeah, it's interesting because I adore Hamilton and I could listen to Hamilton all day.
Uh-huh.
And I don't know if it maybe just because there's enough of a kind of a variety of it too.
Hmm.
There's, uh, but still, yeah.
Yeah. Well, very good. Yeah. So I thought a 7. At 8, I actually is where I put Brave at 8.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because I
Yeah.
mean, Brave definitely was incredibly disappointing.
Oh my goodness,
And
to say the
the
least, right?
yeah, the ads, the trailers, kind of built you up for we're going
Oh,
to be
they were
getting a princess
amazing.
movie, and then you get this bear movie, and it
That's
was
like
just kind of like,
Brother Bear, kind of called and
yeah,
wanted its plot back. Uh,
right.
yeah.
And I love Merida. And a lot of people really don't like Merida. I like Merida as a character. I love her hair. I mean, incredible.
Oh, it's incredible.
And I love the opening kind of act to it when she's climbing the ridge, and you get the song and that whole thing. And you can just tell though that this movie was piecemealed together, and you had different directors' visions, and because it just fills it. You've got like it sets you up for a story that then it doesn't deliver on. It sets you up for a story of adventure and storming the castle and her, finding true love and I'll shoot for my own, thing and
Yeah.
all of that. And then it doesn't, and then all of a sudden it becomes this kind of domestic dispute film between mother and daughter, and that's not what the first 15-20 minutes kind of promised that you would get.
Right.
And so it leaves you frustrated. And I mean, I wish that we could get the like the Brenda Chapman cut.
Yes.
The brave
Me
Brenda Chapman
too.
cut.
Me too.
And I feel bad for her for what she kind of had to go through from everything that I've heard. I think that she got the worst end uh,
Yeah.
of the Pixar stick, and I feel bad for her. She obviously proved herself in many other films, including The Prince of Egypt, which I love. So she's a talented filmmaker, and I wish that she could have, actually finished her movie.
I do too, because there was so much that was wonderful about the concept that this was going to be the first female directed film
Hmm.
at Pixar.
Yeah.
Again, with this very strong female protagonist, and and visually, the marketing was just wonderful. And I'm with you, Merida's hair, which is everything about Merida I like,
Hmm.
but yeah, some you can definitely, yeah. I'm just repeating what you
Yeah.
said, Rachel. It's just so many things
Yeah.
uh, with the change of directors and stuff. I think it's just one of those things that just it didn't work, and it's too bad. And who knows, maybe we wouldn't have necessarily loved Brenda Chapman's vision, and we don't know all the details. Of course, what went on behind the scenes. I think we know some of them, but I still want to see her version of the movie.
Hmm. So who would you have given the Oscar to that year? So we had Wreck-It Ralph, we had Frankenweenie, we have Brave, we have Paranorman, and I can't think of the fifth one.
Yeah, what was the fifth one that
the
year? Probably Frankenweenie for me.
Yeah, it would be for me either Frankenweenie or let's see here. It was Pirates Band of Misfits was the fifth one from Aardman.
Yeah, from Aardman.
So for me, it would be either Paranorman or Frankenweenie, one of
Yeah,
those.
a lot of people love Paranorman, and I respect Paranorman because I like Leica. You know,
Hmm.
they they do such interesting work.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
just
it's
me
a good one.
being a wuss because I hate scary movies. So
Yeah, we talked about it for Obscure Animation once.
yeah,
You remember that? That
yeah,
was
yeah,
fun.
absolutely,
It
yeah.
does have some good scares. That's for sure.
Well, it's well made.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
well made. No question about it.
So what
I
do you have at
excuse
7?
me. So
Oh,
at
sorry.
7, so I can just say I have Brave at 6.
Okay, so we're
So we're
pretty
not.
close.
It's not. It's pretty close. It was hard. I kept moving it, but
Yeah, I did too.
it never made my top 5.
No.
Um, uh, so at number 7, right? Is that what you're at
Yeah,
number?
so what do you have at 7?
So 7, I have John Carter.
I have it at 6.
Okay, so
Mhm.
we just kind of, yeah,
This
we're kind
one
of in
was
the
hard for me
same
to
ballpark.
rank because I'm not a sci-fi, like, you're not a horror person, I'm not really a sci-fi person,
Hmm.
sci-fi fantasy. It's just but I can recognize that this is a well-made film. It has a lot of creativity to it, but it's just a little slow for me. But it's good.
You know, there's some, because I love sci-fi, as you know. This movie had so much potential, and I wasn't a hater. It was weird because there was a lot of hate
Mhm.
directed to this movie. I think even before it opened, and I don't know if it's because people were just dissing on the director, dissing on Andrew Stanton, who after a successful run at Pixar was handed a big budget live action film. As his first live action film to direct. Um, but also and I wish I could speak authoritatively about this, but uh, the book it's based on a series of books by Edgar Rice Burroughs, who wrote Tarzan, right? The
Hmm.
Tarzan books, and specifically, this book was called The Princess of Mars, uh, and then I think the working title of it was John Carter of Mars, is what they were playing, and then um, that horrible film Mars Needs Mom. Was it Mars Needs
Oh
Moms?
yeah.
Am I saying that? I
Whew.
read that was influential on changing, like the studio brasses said we have to change the title. We have to pull this Mars name off it because that movie tanked.
Oh
So it's
yeah.
like John Carter, and if you haven't read the books or anything, you're like, well, what is this? And so I felt like that was bad. And then the movie itself I think, had some flaws. Just the way they went with the plot. So, I thought the cast was good, the concept was good, and it was a pretty good adaptation of the
Hmm.
book. Because I'd read Princess of Mars, but sadly, it just didn't gel. It is one of those
Hmm.
live action Disney things, like almost we talked about, like with Lone Ranger. That it just didn't work
Yeah.
ultimately, in my opinion. Again, there's much to like, but also kind of much to not
Yeah,
like
no, I
as well.
agree. I think it's a good film. I'd even maybe say it's a little underrated for the kind of film that it is. It's just, and that's why I have it so high in the ranking.
Yeah.
Um, but it's just a little slow, I think, in the pacing as far as
Hmm.
I mean, and I find that a lot of times to be the case with sci-fi is that they tend to be a little bit style over substance
Yeah.
for me.
Yeah.
But it's not like a people are acting like it's some kind of travesty, like
No, I didn't think with that at all.
yeah,
Yeah.
agreed. I and poor Taylor Kitsch. I feel bad for Taylor Kitsch
Yeah. It is too
because
bad.
I mean he had such a run there with things that probably on paper sounded promising.
Yeah.
Like I mean he was in the X-Men Origins Wolverine, which is one of the worst comic book movies I've ever seen.
Oh,
He was
so
in John
horrible.
Carter. He's in Battleship. He
That
was
Battleship movie. Ugh.
So I feel kind of bad for him because I'm sure that he saw a lot of these and thought, oh, that sounds like a pretty, good project,
Right.
good
Like, this
thing.
is
And
going to
then,
be a cool project.
but yeah, he had a rough go of it for a couple of years there.
Yeah. Yeah.
uh, so
And Andrew Stanton, if I recall correctly, he hasn't directed another live action film.
no, I don't. Yeah, I
He
don't
went
think
back
he
to
has.
Pixar and directed Finding Dory. The
Hmm.
sequel to Finding Nemo, and which was a fine, perfectly fine film.
Yeah,
Not necessarily the best, but
I
competent
enjoyed
for
it.
sure. Oh, I
Yeah,
enjoyed it too.
yeah.
Absolutely.
So
So
you
anyway,
had Brave at 6, right?
I have Brave at 6.
Okay,
Yeah,
so now we're entering the top five.
top 5.
That's very exciting.
This will be
So,
fun because at least we've got at least four of the same in the top 5, I believe.
yeah.
Uh,
So at number 5 is where I have Chimpanzee. I really
oh,
like
okay.
it. I like the fact that I always like it in a documentary when people are open to being surprised, because most
Yeah,
documentaries they kind of know what they're looking for and then they find it. And in this, they were surprised, and I just thought that made it really fun and interesting, and the fact they brought Jane Goodall on and they had and
yeah,
you got a break from like the typical family kind of a thing, and it was just sincerely this thing that just never happens, like male chimpanzees just don't do this, and so that was fascinating to me, and so that's why I have it at 5. So what do you have at
well,
5?
at 5 I have Lincoln,
Mm-hmm.
which uh, Steven Spielberg directed it. It's I think it's a there's much that I like about it and some stuff that I don't really like about
Yeah.
it. So many I think we corresponded a little about this. What are they, like 100 characters or something in
Yeah,
this film?
there are over 100 named characters.
Yeah,
It's not just background, like named, and they have lines, characters, and
yeah.
I,
There's so much going on.
yeah, I think this would have been way better as a miniseries if it had been like Band of Brothers or something like
Yeah,
that. You know, like one of these
agreed.
miniseries, or even John Adams was a miniseries, things like that, because there's just too much for this story, and they, they could have definitely have cut out certain parts, like the soldiers part, the meeting with the generals. They could have cut that out. Um, I don't know. Like, I just feel like it's just so bloated that you can't really like appreciate the story. And if they just focused on the 13th Amendment, I think that would have been better. But and I also really thought that Sally Field was way miscast.
You know, it was an interesting role for her, wasn't it? And I had feelings about that too, because again, in some ways, sometimes I thought, oh wow, this was cool that they got Sally Field for this. And other times I thought, I'm not sure she was perfect for this role. I mean, Daniel Day Lewis, I thought was very good in the
I mean,
role,
of
just because,
course.
but he's Daniel Day Lewis, right? Like as you said, yeah, I was like,
Like,
yeah, like,
as soon as you saw the poster, you knew that he was going to win the Oscar for the role. Like,
oh,
there's
for
no
sure,
question.
no question, yeah. No question. And I mean, and among those 100, named cast members, David Strathairn, Joseph Gordon-Levitt, James Spader, Hal Holbrook, it goes on and on. Tommy Lee Jones,
Yeah.
um, who are all very good. But yeah, it's almost. I'm with you. I think it probably would have made a much better miniseries, or as a better film that had they made some decisions to not include so much.
Hmm. Yeah. I have it at 4, so I'm pretty
Oh,
close.
okay. So
Yeah. I
we're
mean,
yeah.
even though like it's not one that I really ever want to rewatch, or just not like, I don't know, it's not one that I like, but it is one that I guess I admire just for the
Yeah, I
acting and the
respect
production
that.
values.
Mhm.
And I guess if I was like doing homeschool and teaching a lesson, like I think I could use it for lots of different things. So it's like edutainment, I guess.
Yeah, no, that's the way to put
I
it.
don't.
Yeah.
I'm pretty lukewarm on it, but it's for something that's ended up in my top 4. The performance from Daniel Day Lewis is so good
Well,
that
it's
really that made
remarkable.
it at
Yeah,
number 4.
yeah, yeah.
Hmm. So I love when he's just kind of talking and with kind of rambling along to the people, like when he's telling stories and stuff. Like, he's so good, and he evidently Lincoln had kind of a high pitched voice, a little bit of high pitched voice, and he kind of captures
Oh,
that unique voice.
where does he get these voices?
I don't know.
I mean, everything.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, I
yeah,
mean, he like lives it, for
yeah. Right.
they in a
It becomes the yeah,
in Gangs of New York. Leonardo DiCaprio said that he felt like he was going to kill him. Daniel
yeah.
Day-Lewis was going to kill him the whole time.
Exactly. You show up to work, and he's just like,
Yeah, I mean, and Leonardo DiCaprio is pretty method, so for
yeah,
him to say that is a
yeah. Good point.
lot.
Uh,
But yeah, what do you have it for?
at 4, I have Frankenweenie,
Ah, very good. Yeah.
which I thought was fun. I mean, I love that short,
Hmm.
upon which this is based. Uh, but I thought it turned out. When I first heard the project, I was kind of dreading it because, like, um, I hate like uh, Ron Howard's The Grinch movie.
Oh yeah.
The where uh, I mean, they take a kind of a simple children's story, which is perfectly told in Chuck Jones's
Right.
TV adaptation. They stretch it out into this thing. It's just like, oh please, the Grinch is not this misunderstood person. He's the Grinch. Let it be. That's just
Yeah.
me on my
Oh, I
soapbox.
know. I completely
And
agree on that.
I was I was like almost dreading this. I was like, oh no, this is just gonna be some. But I thought it was totally fun. Totally Tim Burton, reminded me a lot
Hmm.
like of kind of Edward Scissorhands, which is a Tim Burton film I
Yeah.
like. Uh, and I thought it worked. I thought the stop motion animation was fun. I loved it. It was black and white, and for me, it
Yeah.
worked.
Yeah. Well,
What's
I
your
have it
take?
still coming up, so I
Okay, all right,
so I
excellent.
agree. I really enjoy it. I think it's very underrated in my opinion,
Yeah, I
and
do
I
too.
think it's by far the best thing that Tim Burton has done in the last 2 decades for sure. I mean, you have to go back to Big Fish, I think, before you find anything
Yeah,
that's on that
yeah,
caliber. Maybe Sweeney Todd, but it's been so long, and most of his movies have just been so bland. And I think that part of the problem with Tim Burton is that he just keeps adapting other people's stories instead of his stories. You know, like
yeah,
whether it's Miss Peregrine's, which I hated, whether it's
yeah.
whether it's Planet of the Apes or Alice in Wonderland, or like he keeps telling other people's stories when we know that he's strongest when he's telling his own stories, stories that he created. And in this case, you have that. This is his story. And so I think it's just so much better. And I wish that he would stop telling other people's stories and that he would get back to telling his own stories.
Hmm.
But sadly, that doesn't seem to be the case.
Yeah, it doesn't seem to be the case.
No.
But well, yeah, well said. I agree with you absolutely. Yeah,
Uh, so my number three is actually Wreck-It Ralph is where I'm
yeah,
number.
mine too.
Yeah.
I've Wreck-It Ralph number 3. Yep.
And it's, well, everybody knows who follows this channel knows I have my issues with Wreck-It Ralph. And it's not that I don't enjoy the movie, because I do. It's that I just don't think it belongs in that top echelon of Disney films, which I so often see other people ranking in their top tens, which is fine if that's how they feel. That's great. But just for me personally, I just think that especially once we get to Sugar Rush, it just kind of loses a lot of it for me. It feels very I don't know, just I just feel like I've seen that kind of candy land kind of world so many different times before. The whole plot between Vanellope and Ralph, I feel like is just something that's been in so many movies. And I don't know. I don't love it. Like other people love it, but that doesn't mean I hate it. I think it's perfectly cute little animated film. It's just not one of my favorites.
Yeah. I Yeah, I agree with you in that I have it, in my Disney ranking. It's definitely, towards the lower middle.
Hmm.
I mean,
Yeah.
it's not in my top anything.
Yeah, I think
But
I had it like
however,
38, 37, 38, something like that.
yeah,
Hmm.
and I think, but I think it's a fun movie. Yeah,
Hmm.
just as you aptly said, it's uh you know I appreciate that Disney was taking some chances and they tried to make a video game movie.
Yeah.
And there's a lot I like about it. I'm with you. The stuff in Sugar Rush, I think it really bogs down the movie. They're there for way too long. But
Yeah.
still, there's a lot I like about it. And then just comparing the other films, it was hard for me.
Yeah.
Because probably I guess I would probably, Frankenweenie and Wreck-It Ralph are almost like a tie in a lot of
Mhm.
ways. Uh, Maybe I like Wreck-It Ralph just a tick better, and I can't really explain why.
Mhm.
But
Well, I mean, I do like the whole idea of the bad guy getting tired of being the bad guy, and because
yeah, that
it's
was a
sort of
really
this.
interesting plot device.
Mhm.
Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure.
So that's good. I don't know, the whole villain reveal with King Candy, and I don't know, and uh, especially some of the last act with Vanellope feeling betrayed, and it's just I don't know, just don't love it like other people love it, but it's fine. I personally like the sequel better, and most people hate the
Oh,
sequel, but
no, I'm with you.
yeah,
I like the sequel much better.
yeah,
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 yeah.
uh,
I'm glad you brought that up because
yeah.
I wanted to.
So my number two is actually Frankenweenie, is where I have,
Nice.
yeah.
All right.
Yeah, I love it. I love the styling of it. I love the black and white. I love the homage to the classic monster movies. Got such a big heart, this movie. The relationship between Sparky and the little boy is so sweet and just so like I said, heartfelt.
Yeah.
That I think it really works. I love all the character designs, and I just I think it's great. And it's a great way to introduce your kids to these kind of classic scary movies. And I think it's very underrated in my opinion. And I like I said, I would have either given the Oscar that year to Paranorman or to Frankenweenie. I think those are the
Hmm.
two best of those five. I mean, I do like Band of Misfits quite a bit as well, but those are my two favorites, and so it's fun to see Disney doing a stop motion. I wish they would do more. But what do you have it to?
So at two, I've got People Like Us. I mean, this is
Oh my
as
gosh!
as you called it. We're kind of opposite ends on this
Yeah.
movie. I'm surprised how much I like this film. I mean, I do. I sometimes there are dramas that really click,
Uh huh.
and it's not so much that I can relate to this in any way, shape, or form. But two things going on with me, and you're nice to listen to me, Rach. Thanks for listening to all my blah blah blah. First off, I don't know if we've talked about this for years. I had this thing I call it the Michelle Pfeiffer Adjusted Scale, or the MPAS. I love Michelle Pfeiffer,
Uh
and so
huh.
anytime she's in a movie, even if it's just in a supporting role, for me it gets elevated for the most part. Sometimes the
Okay.
movies are so bad that it's just like she can't save it. But still, though, there's the Michelle Pfeiffer Adjusted
Yeah.
Scale.
The
Well, I
effect.
loved that she was in this movie,
Uh huh.
and I didn't know she was going to be in the movie until it started rolling. And oh my
That's true because
gosh,
she's not on the poster.
because you're right. I just was expecting Chris Pine and Elizabeth Banks,
Had you seen it before?
but no.
Yeah.
I remember hearing about it, but I didn't see it in theaters. So this was the first time I had watched it with this, trying to put this list together, or as
Uh
we were
huh.
going through the list
Yeah. Me. I
for
hadn't
the
seen it either.
so so there was so hello Michelle Pfeiffer Justice Scale, but I thought it was a really I guess I thought the story was unique because I'm sure there are other films that, and I'm sure I've seen them, that talk about two siblings, that have the same parent and they don't know
Hmm.
about it. I agree with you. It gets almost creepy, but I think too, both Chris Pine and Elizabeth Banks, they're broken. These are two broken people at the moment, in the film,
Hmm.
and so that's another thing that I appreciated. I thought the character arcs for both of them were quite interesting. Uh,
Yeah.
and that ultimately, I mean, it's done in a bit, of course, I think maybe an overly melodramatic way, but finally when Elizabeth Banks, I guess spoiler alert too, near the end, uh when he wants to show her that movie that his mother showed him,
Oh yeah.
uh that they I don't know that they just where she Elizabeth Banks' character could forgive him for being creepy about it, and they could come together and realize that they're probably going to be better in life as siblings with a relationship rather than not having any relationship at all. And anyway, I
Yeah.
for whatever reason, and go figure, it worked. I could totally see myself with some other movie and maybe with lesser actors, or with it, I don't know, where I'd have it at the bottom. I'd have it be with one of those decoms. But for
Yeah.
yeah, the movie really, I guess saying with the character arcs and with
Hmm.
the good acting, and then with the Michelle Pfeiffer
Yeah.
Justice Scale, it
There you
worked for me.
go. Cool. I'm glad you enjoyed it. I
Well,
really
you're
am.
nice to you're nice to listen to me. Thank you. Let me ramble on and on about a movie
Yeah.
that you didn't really care for, but thank
No,
you.
I mean it was just I thought the it just felt like maybe it's just because I watched too many romantic comedies, and so the whole like thrust of it all felt like the the building blocks for a romantic comedy, and that like these
Right.
people should be getting together, and yet the whole time it's his sister, and so it's
They're
just kind of
siblings.
weird.
Yeah, yeah.
But if that wasn't a barrier for you, I could understand. So that's interesting. It's probably the biggest divide we've ever had in any of these rankings. Would you say?
Yeah, I think so. As
'Cause I have
far
it at
as yeah,
12.
yeah, and I have it at 2. So go figure. But again, you're nice to listen to me
Yeah.
ramble on about it. But and again, you just wonder. I don't know if I've necessarily if I were like ranking all movies for that year rather than just Disney movies.
Mhm.
I don't. It definitely wouldn't be
Yeah.
this high, but I guess comparatively speaking,
Well,
within
we
these
both
15
have the same
films,
number
yeah.
1. Very exciting. The Avengers, my favorite
Yes.
Marvel movie, the
Oh my
original
gosh.
Avengers from 2012.
From 2012.
And
That movie, so fantastic.
so here's the story for me on this movie, why it makes it even extra special. Because of course it's incredible, the great banter, Loki is so great. I love the scene between Loki and Tony Stark. So many good things, but I had actually kind of sworn off of comic book movies. I had seen a bunch in a row that I thought were terrible, and I was just like, I'm done. I'm not watching any of these anymore. And so I actually didn't see this until a year later after
Oh,
it was, yeah,
interesting.
I did not see it in the theater. And my friends kept saying, you got to see it, you got to see it, you got to see it, you got to see it. It's so good. It's so good. And I was like, I don't think so. And because this was long before I even had my blog, I wasn't a critic then. So, I didn't like have to see things. And so finally I sat down and watched it, and I had not seen any of the previous films except for Iron Man.
Oh, okay.
So that's
So you
saying
haven't
something.
seen Captain America, the first
Mm-mm.
Avenger, or Thor,
No,
or okay.
no, or Iron Man 2, nothing. I'd only
Yeah.
seen Iron Man. And so I watched it and I just loved it. I thought it was so good. I was like, they were right. My friends gave me good advice. And it got me back on the superhero movie
Oh,
train.
nice. What a
And
cool story, Rach.
yeah. So not only do I really enjoy it, but it just kind of, I don't know, won me back over to the genre.
Outstanding. Well, how cool.
Yeah.
I love that. I love that story. And uh, you know, I just had seen these other Marvel movies
Yeah.
and clearly knowing, with Samuel L. Jackson's Nick Fury, character showing up in all these. It was just so fun to anticipate what was going to go on with the build up and then to finally see the movie and just have it work so well.
Hmm.
I think that in a way I was more like a sense of relief too. I was like, oh, good, like that. All of their planning, it actually worked.
Yeah.
Things came together, and I think that the movie excels in so many ways. As you said, of course, the banter is good, the script is good, um, and also though it takes, I mean, to bring in like to have 6 leading characters
Yeah.
plus, you know, 6 superheroes plus Samuel L. Jackson,
Hmm.
and then all the other people, Agent Coulson, Clark Gregg and Colby
Hmm.
Smulders and stuff, all these other people in it. Anyway, I just thought, what a feat, and they pulled it off, and they
Yeah.
made, Joss Whedon really made it work. It's interesting that, um, this one's so good, and I thought Age of Ultron didn't, I know we've talked about it,
Hmm.
it just didn't work nearly as well, for me,
No, I mean, there's
but
no question it is not as effective as a film. It's
yeah,
really important as a bridge builder for the universe, which I
right,
do
like,
in
yep.
retrospect respect. But yeah, no, I think that's it's no question. But I just this has all the pieces that you could want in a
Oh,
superhero movie.
absolutely.
It's funny, it's exciting, the
Yeah.
great uh, iconic shot with all of our
Oh,
main 6, the
it's so great.
yeah,
It's so well done.
and like I said, Loki is just the best. I
Oh, he
love
is.
Loki so much.
It's just like the most outstanding villain
Mhm.
and so perfect in this movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Uh,
so, yeah, it's easy by a long my number 1. So,
oh, no question. In fact, when I was doing the rankings, I mean that one just instantly went to number 1, and
right.
then
Yeah.
there was just no question.
I'm
It
so
was these filling these other ones in was harder.
yeah. So I posted on Twitter asking what people thought, and I
Yes.
got a lot of different answers this
Oh
time.
yeah.
Yeah. And so we have Jacob Martin. He says The Avengers is my number one because that was an MCU game changer and still one of my favorite comic book films. Also love Wreck-It Ralph and Frankenweenie. Matthew Scared Halt. He says number one Frankenweenie, two John Carter, three Brave, four Wreck-It Ralph, five Chimpanzee, and six The Avengers. A hot take there.
Yeah.
Greg Pricey says out of six that I've seen, Avengers, Chimpanzee, Lincoln, Brave, Wreck-It Ralph, and John Carter. So we got some chimpanzee love there.
Yeah.
Um, Adam Suckling, he says Avengers, Wreck-It Ralph, Brave, Lincoln, Grow versus Monster. So we got some monster movie
Yeah, I
love
guess
there.
so, right.
People Like Us, Let It Shine, Frankenweenie, Chimpanzee, Radio Rebel, Secret of the Wings, John Carter, Frenemies, The Odd Life of Timothy Green, and Mad Buddies. So he'd seen them all. So that's exciting.
Wow.
I know.
Nice.
uh, Ray J. Evernham, he says the ones I've seen, Wreck-It Ralph, The Avengers, Frankenweenie, Let It Shine, Brave, Girl versus Monster, Chimpanzee. He says, not a big documentary person, but the Disney nature films are wonderful. Then Radio Rebel and Frenemies. And he gives a face palm to both of those.
We can relate.
Whitney Seibold, film critic, he says Lincoln, Frankenweenie, and then the others. So there you go.
That's perfect.
Let's see. And then we got a similar one with middle-aged Satan. He says Lincoln, the Avengers, and then the rest. so,
Okay. Nice.
so lots of good comments.
Yeah, absolutely. And
from-
great viewpoints. Yeah.
So let us know what you think if you've seen any of these films. We would love, I mean, everybody's seen the Avengers, but let us know how you would rank these movies. We would love to hear your thoughts in the comment section or on Twitter. And Stanford, how can people find you?
On Twitter, I'm at Stanford Clark. I have a movie podcast and blog, which is at moviespastandpresent.com. And please follow me on Instagram, where I'm at movies PAP, as in past and present.
Great. And you can find me at Rachel's Reviews, all of our social media, iTunes, YouTube, and on Rotten Tomatoes. So check that out. And also, if you are listening to this episode on iTunes, please leave your ratings and reviews. We really appreciate that so much. And then we also, if you are listening on YouTube, please give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. And check out the Hallmarkies podcast. We're doing lots of fun stuff over there, and I really appreciate it. And then also, let's see, what else do I have to say? Oh, and then make sure to check out the merch store, which is hashtag Animation Junkie shirts. You'll really like that. And we have the Patron Group, which is a ton of fun. We have some really fun watch-alongs that are scheduled for through the rest of the year that you won't want to miss. So please take a look at the Patreon. It's only $2 a month, and we'd so appreciate it. So thanks so much, Stanford. It's always a ton of fun, and we will.
Thank you.
We'll have to do 2011 one of these days.
Yes, absolutely.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.